Okay, welcome back here. I got this thing temporarily wired up. I did get my squirrel cage put back on my blower motor. I haven't yet trimmed out the little lip that was on the inside of here. I'm going to just go ahead and test run this thing first. But as I said, back here, this motor is self-grounded, so I just had to put a little ground in. I've got a little terminal on that bolt there. You can't really see it, but I will use a wire coming off, or I do have a terminal that's grounded to the plate that's on the inside here to this motor. But there's the wire coming off the motor, the main wire, power wire. I do have it incorporated in this switch, which I have. I've got 3 speeds on here, but I test run this thing a second ago, and I do have a few little problems with this resistor since I don't have it incorporated in the box to keep this cooled down. I can use the high speed on it, but when I go to slow it down, these coils, I guess since they start sending more resistance through these smaller coils, it starts to get a little bit warm, just like in a hair dryer, I guess. But on the high speed, I guess since it uses the least resistance, this thing doesn't get warm at all. It stays pretty cool. But when I found out when I went to switched on the 2 lower speeds, that this coil right here did start getting a little bit warm, and so did this smaller one. But I guess if I do decide to use the 2 lower speeds on this thing, I'll have to incorporate it inside this box so the fan will keep it cooled down, hopefully. But yeah, I've got the power coming off my battery going into the switch here. It did take me a little while to figure out how to hook this up to get the 3 speeds that I wanted, but I did get it figured out, and I just got it temporarily wired up here just to test this thing out. Like I said, this was normally the low setting. It's actually a 4-speed switch, but I took one of the speeds out so that I could have this thing turn off, and then I could had 3 other speeds. But I'm not really going to use the 2 lower speeds because I got this thing sitting on the floor. Like I said, this thing, they heat up really quick. But on the high speed, everything stays pretty cool. But just real quick here, here's the first setting. Then I've got my second setting. Here's the high speed. Does put out quite a bit of air, more than I figured actually, but it does. But I'm hoping that I can get this coil put inside the blower motor, that hopefully I'll be able to use my other 2 settings. I did put a filter on the front of this thing just to see if there's any kind of difference in the airflow. As of right now, none of these coils are hot at all. They're all really cold. They're not hot at all, so I'm hoping I can get it put in the box, but I'd really like to have my lower speeds if necessary. But if not, I guess I'll just have to use the high speed only, but I'll figure something out on that part. Anyway, I just grabbed the filter that we had out of our house furnace. A little spare one I got here. But it's not really sealed to the front of the motor that well, but I mean it is up against it, but there's really hardly no difference in the airflow at all. There is very little, but it's really not really noticeable, but it still puts out plenty of air. maybe a little, but not a whole lot. This thing is working really well, so hopefully here in a couple of days I'll get this room set up with my fan in it anyway and start getting my duct run, and hopefully I can get this thing hooked up to my house for too much longer, because it is starting to get pretty cold. Not real cold, but it's staying in about the 70s, mid 70s. So I mean, the temperatures are getting cooler, and hopefully this thing will help me out this winter. Thank you for watching.